Here, zoom in. Look like it's just east of 42 there, approaching Highway 13 north of Prentice. If I had to place that circulation there, that an active tornado warning in the area, and that is moving, it looks like, at about 55 miles per hour with the rest of them. So putting up where we can track to see where this may be headed for about the next, let's say, 30 minutes. We'll do 25 minutes. All right, so there we go. Not too many locations popping up, which is a silver lining there. So Mount Carmel looks like we will see this system with the potential for a tornado. I can't say that it is confirmed, but a pretty sharp line there, and embedded tornadoes within this line have been popping up. We saw it quite a bit last week. We're seeing it right now. So Lone Star at 720, 722 for McRaney, 730 for Williamsburg as that continues to push towards the east, and then Aura there at 732. We can take a look at a few things here to see if maybe we could get a better idea as to whether or not this is moving around. I don't see any potential for debris, but it does get a little bit messy over there. So certainly a concerning area right there just north of Prentice, as we said, trying to get it cleaned up here a little bit. So just east of New Hebron, I would say, as that line pushes in, you're going to see these areas as areas try to break away from the line. You'll see them bow up a little bit, almost looking a bit like a bow and arrow. You can kind of see it right there around New Hebron, how it's kind of bowing down from Mendenhall and then curving back up towards Brookhaven. In these little areas, that's where you get those rotating areas, where you start seeing, we call them bookends, as these segments try to break away from each other, you start seeing those areas. So that's what we're looking for. That's what we're continuing to see. And we're still seeing straight line winds associated with this system as well. So that's going to be mixed in as also, but that very concerning area just north of Prentice there, I'll circle it again, just zoom in, maybe I can get some more streets here. Now it looks like right on, if not passing, Highway 13 there, north of 84. And I would say it's probably about right there, north of 84, right on or approaching Highway 13 from the west. So that would be what we're looking at here in terms of the potential for this tornado in the Pine Belt area right now. So I know this isn't exciting television. It's not thrilling. It's not meant to be. We just want everyone to be safe. That's why we've been talking about this line moving in for the last couple of days, and we'll continue to for the next few hours as we watch multiple warnings going to be issued. This is the first tornado warning pushing into the Pine Belt. Again, a unconfirmed but radar apparent tornado north of the Prentice area, kind of riding just north of 84 there, approaching the Highway 13 area as it moves almost due east with this system, I believe, moving at about 45 miles per hour. We've seen them moving as high as 50. So as that continues to develop, we're going to keep our eyes on this one. Also seeing some severe thunderstorm warnings still popping up as well. Looks like it just updated, so still moving towards 13. Apparent rotation, a tornado signature possible in that area, marching eastward down 84, and again approaching from the west, Highway 13 there, just north of Prentice, approaching Williamsburg. So zoom in again. We can start getting some street level things here again, north of Prentice High School, it looks like by considerable amount, but moving towards Moss Hill Road, Elm Road, Ramsey Road, all there in Jefferson Davis as it approaches to the east there across the area. So moving over here. Oh, gotcha. Or toss it over to Pat. I thought he wanted me to come over there, but yes, we're going to go ahead and give it over to Patrick now. I'm going to keep watching for these watches and warnings, so let's go ahead and go over to the wall, guys.
with the warning. They're saying it's moving off towards the east at 50 miles per hour. So we're going to continue to watch this carefully, and we'll draw a path cast on this. So it's moving east at 50. And Ryan, you got Weather Service chat pulled up, correct? Yeah. All right. So if you see anything, just holler. Let me know. If you want to show the viewers anything on Max 1, just let me know, and we can toss it back and forth real easily between us. But areas in the path of the storm right now: Lone Star at 7:20, Williamsburg at 7:29, Collins at 7:30, Cola, which is basically Collins, at 7:34, and then Hot Coffee at 7:40. And that's should this hold together right now. So again, tornado warning in effect until 7:45 for areas in northern Jeff Davis County, and for areas over here. Okay. That box just turned white, and that means one thing. That means we now have a confirmed tornado with this storm. So let's flip it over to debris, and let me see what the Weather Service chat is saying, what they're saying in chat right now. All right, so they're saying a tornado observed, debris signature in northern Jeff Davis County, confirmed tornado warning, just crossed Highway 541 north of Mount Carmel, moving towards the county line. So we've now bumped this up. This is now a debris signature with this storm, and I'm trying to look at it on our debris detector here to see if we can see it right now. And let's see. I'm having a hard time. Okay, there it is. Okay, so the debris signature is right here. So we're talking, it's about to cross, what is that? The Bowie River here, just north of 84. It could be Leaf River, I can't remember out that far, but it's just north of 84. This is it right here. So we have a confirmed debris signature with this storm right now. So you've got to be in that safe spot right now. Again, tornado warning in effect for portions of northern Jeff Davis County, and for a good chunk of Covington County until 7:45. You see it right here into the flashing red polygon, and this is going to be moving towards the city of Collins. So city of Collins, you need to get into your safe spot now. We now have a confirmed tornado on the ground. As you can see right here, the source, it is observed. This is not radar indicated. We can see the debris on radar. And one thing to watch for with these kind of storms, when you have that debris, you need to treat them very seriously, because it means the storm is actually producing damage. So Ryan, are you seeing anything on your side?
Yep, all the same things so far.
Okay, so he's just seeing the same thing on his side as well. And all of this continues moving east at 50. And this is one of the concerns that we're going to have with this line of storms, is not only the potential for tornadoes, but also a lot of heavy rain and hail. And one thing I wanted to pull out from is show you right now what's going on across the region. So we got that one storm exiting Wayne County near state line. It's got a lot of heavy rain, more heavy rain across portions of the Pine Belt towards Hattiesburg, Oak Grove. Again, none of this is severe in our area. The only storm that we're watching is this one right up here towards the Collins area, and that's the storm that has the potential for having a little bit of debris with it, and the radar is showing that it does have that debris signature on it right now. And in fact, I'm going to flip it over to analyst here. Let's see, come on computer. Sometimes you got to love technology, folks. So I'm going to flip it over to analyst radar, because we can see it just a little bit better, that little bit of debris signature. So here is where that rotation is. And one thing that's a little bit good is that here's where that debris is. And notice that ball is not as tight as it was maybe 5 or 10 minutes ago. So we're seeing some subtle signs here that this storm may have briefly been on the ground, but it may have just lifted back up. In fact, I'm going to back this up a frame or two. And as you can see, that's where it was at its strongest, right as it crossed into northwest portions of Covington County. So there's where the tornado is right now. It's still on the ground, but that debris signature does not look as tight as it was, say, 5 to 10 minutes ago. But this is still kind of on a beeline for areas of Collins, Salem, Hot Coffee. I would still be on the watch out for this, and even Williamsburg. You need to be in your safe spot now. Now, I will definitely say this. you can remove Jeff Davis County from this warning. Jeff Davis County, the storm has now moved out of Jeff Davis County. This is solely in Covington County right now as this moves off towards the east. But that debris signature to me is looking less ragged here on radar, but still you need to respect it. As we always say, you know, respect the polygon. You got to do it because this is a storm that means business. It has produced a brief weak tornado with it, but it does not look as strong to me on velocity as it has been over the past 20 to 30 minutes. But where that tornado is sitting right here. It's about to cross over Highway 35 into the northern portions of Covington County. So we're talking about Highway 35 and Sunset Road. This will be coming up towards Mount Pleasant Road, Dan Easterling Road, Sunset Williamsburg Road, McKenzie Drive, out towards Burton Creek Road and Rock Hill Road. So basically at the intersection of 35 and Sunset Drive right here, that is the area that rotation and of that debris signature that we have seen on radar so far this morning. So we're still watching everything very carefully for you. And as we flip over to the debris side once again, one thing to note is that the debris signature is just not as strong as it was 5 to 10 minutes ago. Would you agree with that, Ryan? Yes.
It looks pretty tight on velocity, but we're probably getting a little bit higher off the ground at that point. So it does look a little bit like it's improved, but it's still absolutely dangerous situation. I wouldn't assume that it's picked up just yet.
Yeah, it's weaker. As you can see, this is where that debris signature is. But also notice who's in the path of this storm. It's Collins. It's Collins that's in the path of this. And so I want to flip back over here to the radar. I do want to actually, well, let's see. I can't draw it if I can't see it. So let's flip back over here. So here's where that area is. It's moving off towards the east at about 55 miles per hour. Let me take off the warning text there. And here we go. So we're talking about Aura at 7:29, Collins at 7:30, Cole at 7:33, and should this hold together, I'm not sure it will, but eventually Mitchell Farms. Everybody knows where Mitchell Farms is. You know, when you go to get your pumpkin in October, they have all the hay rides. Very fun place to go to. Mitchell Farms at the edge of this path, and should that hold together, 7:38 would be the timeline for that. So this storm is still out here in western portions of Covington County. It's about 3 miles north of Highway 84, and it is moving off towards the east at 55. Collins is the next place in line with this, and this is something not to mess around with. So we're still on air because of that confirmed tornado. We did see a debris signature with this. Briefly, it doesn't appear that it's still there anymore, but it's definitely something we still need to keep a close eye on this morning. Now, I'm going to toss it back over to Ryan. Ryan, are you seeing anything new with this storm at the moment?
I'm not seeing anything particularly new at this moment, but yeah, you can bring it back over here, just looking at a few different things. Zoomed in closely on this one, showing that still very tight velocity couplet as we talk about where we see those rapidly rotating winds. Still, again, it has been observed on the ground at one point. Can't confirm that it still is, but seems to be this area of very tight rotation still marching right down Sunset Road as we head through Covington. And you can zoom in here. You can see that circling the area that we're looking at right here. If I had to place it anywhere, moving eastward, kind of right down Sunset, approaching looked like Rutland Hills Drive. I would say Skyline is probably in Oak Hill. Very likely going to be getting that here within about the next 5 to 10 minutes at the speed that it's moving. And of course, with radar, we're not always looking at what exactly is going on at that exact moment because there is sometimes a bit of a delay before it catches up. So we're watching this right now. Again, that area, very tight rotation, and even on the backside of that rotation, still seeing some very strong winds. You see that big flare up of yellow right there near Dan Easterling. Those winds fairly strong there and could be reaching the ground. So despite this the fact that we have that area of rotation in the area pushing towards the east, we can continue to watch that there. They have been updating it, moving eastward very, very quickly. So now completely out of Jefferson Davis and only in Covington now. But once again, let's see if we can get some areas here named out as far as what direction this is going. So for the next, we'll say 20 minutes, Looks like Aura right there in the path as well. Collins, then going to Cola. Mitchell Farms, as Patrick mentioned, and Hot Coffee at the end of that, right around 7:42, assuming this stays active that entire time, which it is expected to remain active for at least the next couple of minutes there. I believe it's set to expire at 7:45, but we'll just continue to watch it to see how it goes. Still a very tight little area of strong winds. As far as whether or not that's actually a rotating area, it's hard to tell, which is why these storms and why we've talked so much about preparation and having multiple ways to receive these warnings, because this line may just be some very strong straight line winds. Potential for hail is mixed in there as well, but we also see that area of rotation marching eastward was confirmed at one point, which is why that red outline box now has white around it as well. So can't say that it is still confirmed on the ground, but concerning enough that we're going to continue to watch it as it marches eastward. So again, the next few minutes here, we're looking at within 6 minutes, this area of rotation moving into Aura. Then starting towards Collins within the next couple of minutes, again moving at about 50 miles per hour. So a very fast moving, hard to notice, even if it is on the ground and actively moving, it is very hard to see mixed in with these very heavy rains. That's called rain-wrapped, a rain-wrapped embedded tornado here. And these are generally on the smaller side of things, but to put that into perspective, there are no weak tornadoes. So even if this is at the absolute lowest end of things, still a very dangerous area as far as weather goes as it's pushing towards you. So still watching that Collins area. This is the only active tornado warning right now in the Pine Belt. We do have a few off towards the north that had just, according to the National Weather Service, had just moved through Newton down Highway 80. But in our area, we're still watching this one area of rotation that is just to the north of 84 and starting to approach 49 from the west. So if it was to follow this exact path, you see it kind of going right through where 84, 49 come together right around Collins, moving right down that direction. So to the south here, it looks like of Collins, where that area of rotation is. So still an active tornado warning. Until this drops off, we're going to go ahead and continue to assume that this is an active and damaging tornado on the ground. As far as everything goes with that, still looking at watching and marching this update as it moves across, just passing the Williamsburg area. I'm going to have to reset my box now because it has moved along very quickly. So again, as we're updating, this is changing so rapidly. That's why we want everyone out ahead of it to already be in their safe spot, or at least preparing to get so within the next few minutes, as it now approaches the Collins area right near Highway 49. And I believe Patrick has something he would like to add, so let's go ahead and take it back to him.
Yeah, Ryan. Right now, we just got that the Weather Service just updated that polygon, and they're keeping this a confirmed tornado. Although we don't see the debris signature anymore. We're not saying it's not there. That debris signature is just not as tight as it was 5 to 10 minutes ago. But Collins, you got to be in your safe spot right now. So what are we talking about into that safe spot? So we're talking about you getting down into that interior most room. You want to be away from any windows. You need to have the pillows, the helmets, the blankets. You can watch us on your cell phone with the WDAM 7 First Alert Weather app and the WDAM 7 News app. And you want to have your shoes on as well. And like I've always saying, that interior most room, away from any exterior walls, and put something on your head, a helmet, a go-kart helmet, even something as simple as a bicycle helmet can help you out there. And as an optional last resort, a chicken pot or a crawfish pot, just something to protect that head. But definitely still watching this storm. The debris signature has really kind of lifted, but I'm gonna tell you, it's almost on top of the city of Collins right now. So city of Collins, you've got to be in your safe spot. The rotation now crossing 49 about a mile north of town. So this right here is getting close out here towards Sunset Road. This is actually close to where our good friend Macy lives, our 7-year-old friend Macy lives, who does the weather. So this is right by her house. It's gonna be about a mile north of that. that. But areas around Salem Church Road, Salem School Road, this little area right here just north of Collins, unofficially is the old name Salem. So if you're familiar with that part of Collins up towards the Salem area, you need to be in your safe spot now, because that is where that area of rotation is on radar. And again, as we look at this with velocity or debris signature, I'm not seeing that debris signature really anymore in that area, but the Weather Service is erring on the side of caution, so we still have that tornado warning in effect for this storm as it sits right here on Collins. So you need to be in your safe spot right now. That would be an interior room away from windows, and you need to stay there until this storm has passed. But right now, 49, it's about a mile north of Collins, near the community of Salem, is where that radar debris indicated tornado would be. And as you can see, it is going to be rain wrapped. So you need to be in that safe spot right now. It's about to be crossing, it'll be crossing Highway 84 here in about 5 to 10 minutes. We're going to have to see eventually, does the Weather Service continue this into Jones County? I'm not sure that they will, but they may decide to do that. And Ryan?
On chat, they're talking about extending it into Jones and including Laurel.
Okay. So to give you a heads up, Laurel, thank you for that, Ryan. That's a very good tip of information. One thing to note, so here's where the tornado warning is officially. In fact, let me do this. Let's just show you the warnings on the map, just the warnings by themselves, not everything else, just the warning. So we have this tornado warning. It only includes Covington County until 7:45. The storm is about a mile north of Collins. It is radar indicated debris. And there it is. There's that new tornado warning that I was just about to show you where they're going to be taking this. So this is going to be a new tornado warning now for Jones County until 8:15 a.m. They're now saying radar indicated. So this kind of confirms my suspicion, and I'm pretty sure Ryan's suspicion as well, that this storm has kind of lifted, at least at the moment, but it's still dangerous enough that they needed to issue that tornado warning now. So we now have a new tornado warning in effect for Jones County. This is going to go until 8:15 this morning. This officially will include Soso. It'll include Hebron. It'll include Calhoun, Shady Grove, Laurel, Glade, Tucker's Crossing, Myrick, M&M, Mill Creek area, even up towards Sandersville, Ellisville, and all of those areas around Laurel, including Pendorf. You're now under that tornado warning, so you need to be getting into your safe spot right now with this storm. Let me do this. Let me draw a path cast on this storm. So let me flip it back to radar so I can see what I'm looking at. First things first. That's always the handy thing to do, is to see what you're looking at. And then we're going to draw this path cast. So that area of rotation now just to the west of Collins, and now that is going to be moving off towards the east. So the areas in the path of this is going to be Mitchell Farms at 7:35, Hebron by 7:41, Soso at 7:49, Ellisville by 7:53. If this holds together, it'll make it to Laurel by the top of the hour. So Laurel, officially, you have about 25 minutes. Tucker's Crossing at 8 a.m., and then it'll get over towards Powers, towards Northeast Jones High School at 8:03, and Sandersville at 8:06. So we're going to be watching this very carefully as this storm moves off towards the east. And one thing we can do right now is do this. Let's pull up our sky cam out in Laurel. So we'll head out to Laurel Ford, and the storm is not officially there yet. It's not there, but it's raining cats and dogs out there. We are talking about very heavy rain in the city of Laurel. Old Glory is flying very, has definitely got a breeze out there. Winds are out of the south at 11. You see that heavy rain falling. Remember, this storm is still out towards the Collins area that the official tornado warning has just came out on. But as you can see, heavy rain already falling on the city of Laurel right now as we take a live look at the Alpha Insurance camera network out at Laurel Ford. We're definitely going to be keeping a close eye on that camera. If anything sketchy starts to happen, we'll definitely jump right back to that. But the storm now is crossing, it looks like it's about to start crossing 84, and it continues to move off towards the east. Ryan, is that what you're seeing on your end right now?
Yes, just passing 84. Nothing, a low end confidence that it is still a tornado signature, but still monitoring. Looks like they're picking up on the same, that it kind of loosened up a little bit, but just like us, they are still going with going to say a confirmed tornado on the ground for at least now, continuing to watch it as it pushes off towards the east, towards Collins, towards Oak Bowery as well, Hot Coffee, Hebron, basically marching right down 84 going eastward. So if you know that you're in that area, this is one of those where you definitely need to be preparing to take shelter now. I have it up with the hail right now with estimated hail size. You can see around this area is where we're seeing some very strong updrafts, getting those hailstones a little bit bigger, upwards of a half an inch. Really, to me, especially growing up in Arkansas, hail was always an indicator that I was really more in a dangerous situation than that I needed to be concerned with hail. Obviously, ice falling from the sky is not good, but you can see that if you see hail popping up around you, 3 little hail signatures all around this one storm that we're talking about, with this area of rotation, with this earlier confirmed, now apparent tornado that we're still going to continue to assume is active and on the ground as it continues to make its way towards the east. So if you hear rain on your roof and you hear that change, the sound a little bit sharper, you start maybe look out your window, which obviously shouldn't be around too many windows during an event like this anyway, with the wind threat the way it is. But if you start noticing or hear that rain shift to potentially hail, then that would be a big indicator, which if you're already in your safe space, that's great. If not, then you need to do that, because hail, a great indicator that you're seeing some very strong activity there. So just looking at it right here, I've got it switched to the velocity again, where instead of looking at the rain, we're looking at the wind and the wind speeds and direction. And still just south of Hot Coffee, they're kind of moving right towards, right where that 84 badge is. Now it's moved up towards where 37 is there, you see. It doesn't get any more textbook than that as far as seeing that little notch, that little area of rotation embedded in the line. So just seeing this without anything else, without any of these warnings, I would be making the same recommendations that anyone in these areas, especially just really going right down 84, it looks like north of Speed Road there, seeing that change as it pushes towards the east. So if you are east of this, if you are in East Covington, Western Jones, and the rest of Jones, now is the time to get yourself ready to be in your safe space. We'll go ahead, send it back to Patrick.
Yeah, and you need to be in that safe spot. And one thing I wanted to do, this is something I've been kind of experimenting. This right here is that wind shear product that we have. So one thing to notice with it is that this storm, it kind of clears up everything a little bit better. This is showing us where the area of greatest wind shear or rotation, as everybody else knows it by, most likely is sitting. So we're sitting here with that area of rotation. If we do have a tornado, it's going to be just northeast of Salem. It's going to be kind of crossing Highway 84 right here, about a mile or 2 north of Mitchell Farms, and it is heading straight towards Hebron. And eventually, as this continues to move off towards the east, you start to see what areas are in the path of this storm. So we're talking about areas around West Jones Elementary, out towards Calhoun, West Jones High School. I know this portion of Jones County is kind of rural. I've drove it plenty of times, but I'm going to tell you, this right here, there are people that live here. There are people that live here, their homes, their lives are here. So this is why we're interrupting your coverage, because we want to make sure they're staying safe. We would do the same for you wherever you are. Let us do it for them. So we're still watching that area of rotation as this continues to move off towards the east. And the Weather Service is still saying that this is... let's see. So for the Covington County storm, they're still calling it a confirmed tornado located 7 miles northeast of Collins, moving east at 45 miles an hour. So the next place in line would basically be the area around Mitchell Farms and out towards Hebron. So out towards Hebron and Mitchell Farms, out along 84, you have to be in your safe spot. Repeating, you have got to be in your safe spot now, because that is the portion of the county that is in line with this storm. So definitely this is not something to mess around with this morning. These kind of spin ups, they're very quick. They're very quick in nature. They move off towards the east. They're moving east at 45. And as you'll notice, this is not a textbook area of rotation we're talking about. This is something we would more likely see. We don't see the bright greens and the reds tight next to each other where it's just plain as day. this is a messy kink, but it's these little kinks that you can get a quick little spin-up tornado with some of these thunderstorms. So it's right now, I believe it's about to cross the Leaf River. I think that's the Leaf River. Don't quote me if I'm wrong here. Yeah, it's Leaf River. So it's about to cross the Leaf River here near Hebron. So it's right there on the county line between Covington County and Jones County. So Hebron is the next spot in the path of the storm. And eventually this will be heading, as you can see, out towards Laurel. And this is still moving east at about 45 to 50 miles per hour. So on that track, it's going to be taking it into the city of Laurel very shortly. So Laurel, in fact, it'll be there in about 20 minutes at the top of the hour, 8 a.m. That's what a futurecast or our pathcast is showing right here. Hebron at 7:43, 7:52 West Jones Elementary School, Calhoun at 7:55, 7:57 for Ellisville. I will say this: I think this is going to go north of Ellisville. I can't see a situation where this is going to go southeast towards y'all, but maybe if you live between Laurel and Ellisville, I would definitely be in your safe spot towards Pendorf. But I think I'm not thrilled that it popped up, but you get what I'm trying to say, and I'm getting buried in the mud, so we'll continue. Laurel at 8 o'clock, 8:03 at Tucker's Crossing, and 8:05 towards Northeast Jones High School. This is really traveling along that 84 corridor right now, and that's basically where it is. It's about to cross into the county out towards the Hebron community. This will be right it's in about 5 minutes. It'll be right on top of the area that was hit hard by that Easter Sunday tornado back in 2020. Went right through here. That's where that other storm went. But this one is not A, nowhere near as strong as that, and B, a completely different setup, and C, moving in a different direction. So Hebron, you need to be in your safe spot right now. If you live along 84, basically from Laurel to Hebron, you need to be in your safe spot right now as this storm moves off towards the east. Ryan, are you seeing any new data coming in from the Weather Service? I've been hearing some of the buzzers go off.
I'm watching the weather chat. Looks like we have some trees down across 80. I believe that's a little bit further north, the one in Newton. No changes on that. I am looking at some of the cameras here, and I believe this is what we're looking at. If it'll, hold on. Got the wrong source pulled up here. What's the problem when you've got 50 computers to use? Go ahead right here. Forest General Hospital camera should be coming up. As we were watching, you could really see this right here. It's a little bit less easy to see now, but this area of darkness had a very sharp, what we would call a cloud foot, or potentially even a funnel cloud. Now again, it's rather far away. I wasn't able to confirm it, but a lot of things lining up here showing these textbook issues with what we expect to see with the potential for severe weather in the area and this type of line. This squall line type situation. Now this is what we expected to see. This one a bit messier than the last few. I mean, just looking at the radar here, you can see how all over the place everything is. Looks like we got another update coming in. I believe that's for that severe thunderstorm warning. Unless they just, looks like some flood watches have been issued as well, potential flash flood warnings there, which makes sense with the heavy amount of rainfall we've been seeing. But obviously this issue is still this active tornado warning, which is now east of Collins. Let me switch to the velocity again so we can get a better view of it. So there we go right now. That notch again looks like it's pulled up just to the north now of Oak Bowery and south of Hebron. If I had to once again draw it, I'll go ahead and put it right around there. That little notch, that's where you're seeing rapidly rotating winds. Now that's still not to say that it is actually reaching the ground, but very concerning, and certainly everything lining up to look like it could. Now as we take a look at the correlation coefficient, your debris signature here, it's not showing too much. So what this really picks up on is when you have rain or anything falling from the sky, as long as all of those things are about the same size, you don't see too much on this, but it's when those start changing. So you've got raindrops that suddenly become hail drops, that suddenly become leaves and pieces of tree and even potentially pieces of homes. That's where you start seeing those values dropping, and why we look at this. So looking at this here and not seeing any sort of lowered values and kind of seeing all one uniform color would tell me not too much is getting lifted, or at least nothing large is getting lifted out there. Which means that the potential for damage is down, but still, anytime we have an active warning, basically any meteorologist, certainly all of us here at WDAM, are still going to assume that that is an active tornado on the ground until we have reason to believe otherwise. So even if this is not, and again, it's still just right there. Let me switch back to the velocity where we can see where that couplet has set up, or at least that area of potential rotation, which it likes to jump around on me here. So there we go. Yeah, it's definitely, the notch is a little bit harder to see. So it wouldn't surprise me if this did drop off within the next few minutes, but we're still going to continue to watch it here. And regardless of whether or not there is a tornado, that little notch now just south of Hebron there again, if I had to draw it, I would say we're looking at it being just to the south now of 84 south of Hebron, and still moving east, northeast, almost right down that road, especially since 84 is about to take a little bit of a southeasterly turn there. So if you live along 84, it's moving right along west to east across the area, through that, down that road now into Jones County as it approaches a few areas. So let me see, go ahead and get this path predictor up here so we can get at least an idea of where exactly it may be headed next. I keep putting things up on it. It is exactly how it works sometimes. So there we go. Okay, all right, we're good now. Let's do the next 15 minutes real quick, and then we'll go back to Patrick. So in the next 15 minutes, this area of apparent rotation, still an active tornado warning, moving towards Calhoun by 7:54, the Laurel Airport by 7:56, and then Curry by about 7:58. Again, assuming that it is still an active situation on the ground. I'll continue to monitor our cameras and the chat, and we'll go back to Patrick.
Yeah, Ryan, thank you so much for that. One thing I want to show you while we're here, and I need to take off those little buttons, is where the rotation is in relation to everything in the city of Laurel. So we're on our analyst Doppler radar right now. So the area of rotation is out here kind of now between Hebron and Calhoun. It's about a mile or two west of West Jones Elementary. And if there is any good news, I know parents, West Jones Elementary, you're probably really freaking out right now because, I mean, it's going to pass right over the school. But if there is some good news, right now, this storm is in a much weaker state. The Weather Service on chat has even stated that based on the velocity signature, this storm is not producing a tornado at this time, but we don't know. It may try to cycle at some point. So because of that, they're continuing that tornado warning for Jones County, at least for the next little bit. But as you can see, the areas in the path are going to be West Jones, Calhoun, out towards West Jones High School, and eventually this is going to go right over downtown Laurel. So we're talking Laurel High School, the airport down towards the south and west of town, even out towards Sanderson Farms, Pendorf Community Glade, Powers, and Northeast Jones High School. And again, this is basically trailing along Highway 84 here and moving off towards the east at about 45 to 50 miles per hour. Now, that's what it looks like in terms of the velocity signature, but I also wanted to show you this in terms of what it looks like with our shear product here. So basically, we're just now seeing some weak rotation, and everything is continuing. It's not as strong as it was maybe about 5, 10, 15 minutes ago. In fact, let me get this. I was hoping to do this more elegantly. So here's what that rotation looks like now. This is where the area of rotation would be. As you can see, it's into the green, so we're seeing signs of weak rotation. But if I was to put all of the rotation that we've seen so far, back when it was over here towards Salem and Collins, notice we had the red and eventually the yellow. That was some much stronger rotation earlier. And this is where we saw the debris signature with this storm. But as it has moved east, you start to notice the red and the yellow dissipate, meaning that the area of rotation has really weakened considerably. And even the Weather Service has said there is rotation, but it's weak rotation, and as it stands right now with the signature, it's just not producing a tornado. But it's still an area that's suspicious to us, and that's why they are continuing that tornado warning for Jones County. Now, elsewhere across the area, I wanted to show you down into southern Jones County, you're probably getting a ton of rain out towards the Johnson community, Ovette, Johnson, even out towards Stringford. You're going to get a lot of heavy rain with this storm. But one thing to note, this is not severe. It's below severe thunderstorm limits. And I wanted to give a quick view of the rest of the viewing area. So here's what the wide shot looks like right now. The line of storms basically from Meridian down towards the south towards Laurel and then extending off towards the west towards Macomb. Once this line passes through the area, our severe threat will be basically going down, and that'll be some good news. We'll still see some rain and thunderstorms behind this line, but the atmosphere will be overworked by then. And by overworked, I mean we're going to be using up a lot of energy along this line, so there's not going to be a lot of energy left behind it, and that's some good things. We'll see the atmosphere overturn. It'll go from unstable to stable once that line passes you. But of course, we're still here with that warning for that tornado warning up towards the city of Laurel. And Ryan, are you seeing anything new coming out right now in chat? Let's see. I'm looking right now. Okay. Can we get his microphone turned on?
Yeah, there we go.
There we go.
Yes, picking up some reports from Salem Church Road. Report of a tree down on a house and power lines down due to that possible tornado touchdown. So obviously a situation you don't want to be near down power lines, especially with these trees still going on. And of course, you know, this happening with the storm still active and many places not even having seen this line moving in yet. So we've been focused on this system moving into Jones County, still potentially an active tornado on the ground, now showing reports of damage from the area around Collins. Now taking a look here at the cameras, I've been trying to see if there's anything we could see as things are moving through. I'm going to go ahead and switch back over to my radar here. We're still watching that active warning right there, tornado warning. There's also a severe thunderstorm warning, and it looks like a flash flood warning as well, all kind of mixed on top of each other, and that's because of those very strong rain rates. You see all that red, that almost dark brown starting to show up, picking up on the potential there for some hail to be mixed in as well. And as we take a look, it doesn't show that there's too much in that area, but these cells certainly had a history of hail as they were pushing through. So looking again at the velocity, that notch is back. It's a little bit more defined, I would say, now just south of Calhoun, near West Jones. Yes, I suppose that's a school there, elementary school?
Yeah, that's the elementary school.
All right, starting to work its way towards Laurel Airport. So again, if I had to draw it here, and then we can figure out exactly where it's going to go from there. We'll put it right there and move it towards the east for about the next 15 minutes. And we're looking at, again, Laurel Airport there at 7:56. So anyone in that area and any employees there at the airport, obviously use your safety precautions, take cover here in the next few minutes, if not immediately. 8 o'clock, reaching the city of Laurel, assuming this is still an active tornado, even if it is not. Seeing the values here, that very bright yellow just off of Sandhill Church Road, which is, I believe, the area we were just talking about, where that damage is being reported. So even if this is not a tornado, we're still seeing exceptionally strong winds. So the same applies. If you're in Laurel, if you're in Glade, if you're in Truckers Crossing, as we start heading towards 8 o'clock and then eventually towards Powers, these are the areas where you definitely want to be seeking that safe spot, if not already in it, because things can move quickly with this system. We're seeing it marching down 84. It's been north of it. It's been south of it as we've been continuously tracking this. So don't want it to be a surprise to anybody. We want everyone to be able to get out ahead of this as it rapidly moves, still at about 45. It's fluctuated a bit, near 50 miles per hour towards the east. So based on that speed and that timing, these areas need to take cover here immediately, certainly at the Laurel Airport, and you have a few more minutes for Laurel. You know, I have been looking to see if we could see any of this on the camera. Everything looks exactly like you would expect it to. Low, dark clouds, rapidly gusting winds, and of course in areas where the rain is coming down, it is coming down quite hard, leading to flooding issues. We didn't expect wide-scale flooding issues, but before things really even got it going, we already had some flooding on Hardy Street due to just one cell that popped up and lingered for a little bit longer than it otherwise would. So we continuously are watching this area, now pushing into Jones as we keep pushing along with this system. So quite a bit going on. I believe we just had an update to the warning, so let's go back to Patrick for the latest on that.
Yeah, Ryan, they just updated a couple of warnings, but the one thing I wanted to show you is this. We now have that camera out at Laurel Ford. It's pointing off towards the west, so we're looking towards the storm. You notice a lot of lightning out there. We're starting to see the winds really pick up with some of those pine trees just to the west. Look at all the lightning out there right now. A lot of lightning with this thunderstorm. But one thing to note, you don't see really anything. So even if this storm was producing a tornado, I'm not sure you could visually see it. We're not saying that it is on the ground, but I'm just telling you, it's going to be very heavily rain wrapped. And look at the rain now starting to move in at our camera location. This right here, again, Laurel Ford. So we're on here. So we're up by the Walmart up in Laurel. So we're on Highway 15. We're looking west back towards that storm. And one thing to notice, the heavy sheets of rain, heavy rain now moving into our camera. And we've been seeing a lot of lightning. So we're going to keep a close eye on this. But one thing to note, if it is doing something, it's going to be rain wrapped. And so with that said, don't be looking for it because you're not going to see it. The heavy rain now starting to move in across Laurel. The National Weather Service is continuing a radar indicated tornado with this storm. This is right now the rotation. It's out towards the Calhoun area. It's along 84. It's between Laurel and Calhoun. And in fact, let me flip back over to our analyst product here because it just makes it a little bit easier to kind of look at. So let me load that back up and I'll be able to show you what we're looking at. So here we are. That's the regular radar. And as you can see, the area of rotation, very weak now. We're down into the green. So we're not seeing very tight rotation anymore. But the Weather Service is still concerned about it. There is still that kink in the line of storms, and that is why they are continuing that radar indicated tornado warning, and that goes until 8:15. So the area where this storm would be right now would be somewhere out towards around the Pendorf community, because that's where we're seeing that pocket of green. So we're seeing a little bit of rotation out towards Pendorf. So this is right now on the south side of town. It's kind of meandered just to the south a little bit, and so basically the city of Laurel, you need to be in your safe spot. Laurel Airport, Sanderson Farms, Glade, of course, hit hard. Glade was hit so hard back in the 80s with that big tornado that went through. I think it was 1987. Definitely a different situation this time. We're seeing weak rotation, but still you need to be into that safe spot. And as we look at this with the rotation with the radar, you're noticing we're not seeing any real big couplets with this storm. So I'm seeing that rotation, at least to me, that this rotation is really starting to fizzle out. Ryan, is that what you're seeing as well?
Yes, that's what they had picked up on as well. And I'm now looking at our camera from Laurel, the one you had up a moment ago, and see if I can bring it up on mine too, before I get switched over here. But definitely really starting to deteriorate over there. Now, again, it does seem to be lifting up as far as the rotation goes, loosening up, not quite as tight as it was. And we'll continue to watch it in case anything changes on it. But right now, certainly looking like it is still a dangerous situation. Very windy there, but not quite to the level of being concerned about rotation. So here we go right now. I had it turned into the storm, as Patrick did. You can really see we're kind of losing a little bit of the buffering on it, I guess. You know, it was very smooth a moment ago, now really struggling and very hard to make out anything. So it's like Patrick mentioned, you know, sometimes you see these images of tornadoes from storm chasers, from media, and you can very clearly see where they are. This is not one of those cases. If there was one mixed in here, this is what you would see if you were to look out your window, which again we don't recommend during a wind event like this, but you wouldn't be able to know that anything different or untoward was really happening until it can be too late in those instances. With these rain-wrapped ones that are embedded in these lines are particularly concerning. So we are seeing the National Weather Service picking up on the rotation, kind of loosening up a bit. We're still seeing reports of damage, particularly from the Collins area. We still have this active tornado warning right over there, now pushing towards the Laurel area. So again, we were really just starting to see, let's see, it looks like it was an update to a severe thunderstorm warning out there. So we're just starting to see this moving towards Laurel. So that camera we have may be very interesting very soon as we're watching this continuously move towards us. So let me pull up the velocity again. That way we can see if we have any tightened rotation. Still seeing that couplet basically right on top of Laurel right now. So it's still very hard to make out. exactly whether or not it's an area of rotation, but it's certainly a notching area where you could see that inflow picking up and could see that the potential for that danger there. So definitely an area, whether or not it's an active tornado on the ground, very likely having some hail mixed in with it. We can actually see that right here, and it's not picking up on that potential, but still watching that notch there with that potential rotation. And even if it isn't, you saw on the camera just a moment ago, very fast winds. We're just now starting to hear it here at the station. So it looks like that storm just now right on top of the Laurel area. We're watching it here on the camera. And again, it's really slowing down. So I don't know if that's an issue with the camera or just the fact that we've got so much going on here at the station with the connection. So I'm going to continue to watch the cameras, keep updated on the chat, see if anything new pops up, and we'll go back to Patrick.
Yeah, thanks, Ryan. Be sure to keep a close eye on that. And basically, what Ryan is doing, he is doing two things. He is, one, watching the radar. He's watching Weather Service chat. And two, he is watching the cameras. This right here, by the way, is the camera out at Forest General Hospital. We're watching everything going on for you to keep you safe and informed. And Ryan is switching around things. That right there is a look out towards the Circle C tractor this morning. One thing I do want to go back to is I'm glad that you brought up Circle C tractor, Ryan, because we now have a new severe thunderstorm warning. We'll take this back to single box. We now have a new severe thunderstorm warning that has just been issued for portions of Wayne County. Basically, the entire county now has been put under a severe thunderstorm warning. So what we'll do is we'll just have the warnings pulled up, and I'm going to pull up the text on this warning. That way you can see what's going on. So this right here is a new severe thunderstorm warning. It's going to be for Wayne County, Washington County, Alabama, and for Choctaw County, Alabama. And the latest text with this goes as following. So it's going to be, as of 7:58, a severe thunderstorm was located along a line from Rose Hill to Tucker's Crossing to east of Butchie, moving east at 60. And I'm going to tell you, it is pouring here right now here at the TV station. It is raining very hard. So see them call out east of Butchie is not a surprise to me. But it is moving off towards the east at 60 miles an hour. So that line as a whole is moving at 60, but some of the individual segments in it, like that tornado warning, moving around 45 to 50. The main hazard with this storm is going to be 1-inch size hail, which is quarter-inch hail, and the possibility of winds as high as 60 miles per hour. So we're going to be keeping a close eye on that. There is the potential for a tornado possible, as you can see with that threat tag there. That's kind of standard, which you would normally see with a squall line. As this continues to move off towards the east. But now let's flip it over. We'll clean up that image. A little bit messy there, but we'll clean it up. Now, the line of storms is basically lined up from Heidelberg all the way down the interstate towards here at the TV station in Moselle, and everything is moving off towards the east. So for Wayne County, we're not going to forget about you, Laura. I wanted to give Wayne County a heads up real fast, and we'll go back to you. And that line of storms is moving east at about 60 miles an hour. So it's basically all the way down the interstate here and moving off towards the east at about 60. So what we'll do is we'll draw that out and then click it, and then bam, we have the info that we need. So Johnson is right now 8:02, Ovette at 11. This will be coming into areas around western Wayne County at around 8:20 a.m. Waynesboro at 8:30. Emory at 8:33, Buckatana at 8:38, and Silas at 8:43 a.m. So that Silas is, of course, over here in Alabama. It's about 5 or 10 miles east of the Mississippi State line. So it'll be out of Wayne County around 9 o'clock. But we still got that one tornado warning that we're still watching here out there, and that one tornado warning is still ongoing, and that area of rotation is currently out here towards right over the city of Laurel. So let me clear off some of these things here. We'll get a really tight here. So we're talking street level. Let's get in a little bit tighter. I want to get a little bit tighter here. So the area of rotation right now is basically right on top of downtown Laurel. So we're talking around the Hellfighters area with that big sign on the interstate out towards South Central Regional Medical Center, Leontine Price Boulevard there. Of course, Highway 15 out towards Landrum's, and then 84 East, the Chantilly Avenue and 84 East out towards the Powers community. This is where that area of rotation is right now. now. If I had to guess, it's right here on 84. So if you're out in the Powers community, you need to be in your safe spot, that interior-most room, away from windows and away from exterior walls. That way you're safe. But we're still not seeing any indications that this storm is still on the ground. That's some good news. Also notice that the Weather Service in Mobile, which has jurisdiction over Wayne County, opted for a severe thunderstorm warning. So they're not concerned about it right now, but we're still watching this. And for basically eastern Jones County, you need to be into that safe spot now. And as we look at it here with the velocity on the radar, we're not seeing any of that couplet anymore. The couplet seems to have dissolved once it was moving into western Jones County. But we still have the area that we're kind of suspicious about, and that's why we're still on the air. And one thing we can even do to clean it up a little bit more is to just look at the shear side of this. So one thing to notice, even our shear product is having a very hard time finding it. It's actually not showing it up. It should be somewhere out in here, but as you'll notice, it's not there. So the rotation is quickly falling apart. That is some good news. And even if we were to go back, the last time we had decent shear with it was out here towards the west, towards Calhoun. And so the rotation is quickly fizzling out, but we're still here with this until they nick that tornado warning out of the area. Ryan, are you seeing any kind of new information coming in from chat?
Yeah, I've got a little bit here. If you want to take my source up real quick, you can see the camera that we've got pointed out over Hattiesburg from the Forest General Hospital. We're starting to see that line, so getting the little shelf cloud, the very ominous looking cloud there on the horizon, starting to push in. As this passes through, this is where you're going to get your frequent lightning, your heavy pockets of rain, and of course your extremely gusting winds, and that will shift also. We're seeing them coming from the south at the moment, but once that line passes you, they'll move either westerly or northwesterly and remain pretty strong for a little bit there as we continue to watch that. So still following that tornado warning, but starting to see this very strong line of storms with a history of severe thunderstorm warnings pushing into Hattiesburg, as you can see right here. But we did just get an update on the potential for some damage out there as well, seeing some damage reported west of Gray Road with a tree falling and porch destroyed, numerous trees down in the northeastern part of that county. Also seeing Williamson Road is blocked with trees right now, and major power outages and phone outages in that area. Also apparently a tree reported down on Highway 13 South. So really seeing this ramping up, and as we watch this line pushing in, we could potentially see some more developments along that line, so it's what we're going to keep an eye on. Moving over here to Waynesboro at Circle C, we're just really starting to see the rain picking up following this storm. This just now having moved, of course it says Forest General Hospital up there at the top. But this is not, this now in Laurel. So as we take a look to following the direction that storm moved off in, you're still seeing that frequent lightning. You see that flag has shifted a bit, and of course the very wet conditions there. Things calming down once the line passes through. That's the silver lining with all this. Really, it's all about that line as it pushes in. You can see that ominous horizon there once again. As we take another look out. So starting to see this pushing into the Hattiesburg area, some very low clouds, very windy conditions, and just looking at that shot, you can see quite a bit of rain going to be mixed in there as well. And that's the main concern with this still active tornado warning, is that even if, and that's what makes it so difficult, we can't confirm that it is still on the ground or anything like that. Some of the parameters are there, some aren't, but still going to be a very windy and dangerous situation. And the biggest thing is that it's so hard to see. Like, it's so hard to see when you're in that area, just heavy rain coming down, and all of a sudden there's a tornado moving through. So you've just got to be very cautious, and that's why we push so much about having the multiple ways to receive these warnings, so that none of this ever comes as a surprise. So as we take a look at the velocity right now, you can see there's still that little notch just south of Tucker's Crossing there. That's what the warning is associated with, and it maybe even looks like it potentially changed directions there. More towards the northeast now. Nope, still moving towards the east. That you also see another area of rotation, not warned or anything, just to the southeast of that, south of Strangford, west of Hollis Creek. So it wouldn't surprise me to see some very gusty winds, or even the potential for some hail in that area right now, though hail pretty few and far between, though we did see some very noticeable signatures earlier today. So again, this is a very messy system. Just backing up here and kind of taking a look at it, you can see how there's blobs of reflectivity all over the area, gusting winds, those few areas of rotation we're still continuing to watch there, picking up on that couplet you see just east of Tucker's Crossing near Myrick now, and continuing to make its way towards the east. And then you still have that very strong area of winds approaching Strangford now. So even though not a tornado, not even a severe warned storm, I would say very likely some strong winds popping up ahead of this line as it continues to make its way towards the east at about 40 miles per hour. So let's go ahead and see what's coming up next for about the next, we'll say 20 minutes. And only getting two areas popping up there, that Strangford that we mentioned and Whistler, two areas going to see activity with this particular warn system here over the next 20 minutes or so. Now it does have it coming to an end right up against the county line, which to me indicates that they are potentially thinking about ending that one, but as opposed to continuing it on into continuing it on into the next county. So we'll continue to keep an eye on that as far as everything goes. If it is extended, of course, we'll continue to track it. If it drops off, we'll very likely back off, regroup, and keep an eye out for more areas. But most important thing I can really add right now is you see that red box with the tornado warning. That's where all eyes will be focused, but I cannot stress enough that we're still seeing strong storms out there. That one near Strangford now picking up on the potential for some very strong winds in there. Not too much rotation, though it is a bit messy, a broad area of messy rotation, but not seeing that really tight couplet. So it's not getting a warning, but I guarantee you if you're in the Strangford area, you're seeing some very strong storms moving through, gusting winds, frequent lightning, and that heavy rain that we're so concerned about right now. So continuing to watch these and still watching this line approaching. I mean, it has not even gotten quite yet to Hattiesburg, as you can see there. Just watching that line just start to move in and still monitoring for those areas of rotation embedded within that line. We've been tracking this one now moving through Jones and starting to inch its way toward Wayne County for quite some time now, continuing to watch that and still haven't seen anything else popping up, but it could on the back end of that line. Let's check in and see what it looks like again in Hattiesburg as we're watching that line approaching. Very low, ominous looking shelf cloud there. Absolutely makes sense to see that and continuing to watch that line. So expect here in Hattiesburg within about the next 5 minutes to see strong winds, heavy rain, big wind shift coming. And again, we're still watching and not seeing anything right now, no early warning signs, but still watching for rotation to be embedded in that line. Still the only area active right now is that one off towards just east of Laurel, now moving towards Myrick. And it looks like I just lost it there. There we go. Got it back. So still moving east of Tucker's Crossing, south of Myrick, and west of Strangford, but all of those areas also seeing some very strong winds. Now you can see that very bright rotation near the Strangford area, so that would be one to keep an eye on, especially since it's right there next to that other notch as far as the one that is still, there we go. Looks like it just extended it into the next county, unless that's associated with that new area of rotation there. So let's see if weak circulation better than we had been. Still seeing some down power lines and power outage reports. Let's see, 60 mile per hour winds for Jones. That's the one moving out of Jones and into Wayne with the potential for golf ball sized hail as well. That's along Hugh Ward Boulevard apparently. So continuing to watch this one. Now this new area here, it's kind of hard to make out. They're getting a little bit messy, but you still have that one south of Myrick, which is more of like a notched line. But this one on top of Strangford seeming like it might be a little bit more concerning as far as that system goes. We're getting another update here, trying to see if it's the same one or not. It looks like that one has loosened up a bit now just over the last couple of minutes, but still watching. You can kind of see it flare up there as it went from Ovet just south of Strangford. So very strong winds, not necessarily a rotation or at least a tight enough one to be concerned about tornado, but now starting to see that the little notch pushing into the Strangford area. So maybe that other one we're watching breaking down, but we're still concerned, as is the National Weather Service, about this little notch, which if I had to draw it, I'm going to put it right here. It's kind of a little bit more diffuse now. So right around the Strangford area, moving towards Whistler. That's what we mentioned not too long ago as far as areas that we would need to be watching. So definitely going to keep an eye on that. Let's track it again, make sure that we have all of our areas that may be at risk notified. We'll put it right here and broaden it out a little bit. We'll go the next 25 minutes. Still within about the next 10, I would say Whistler. Definitely going to be in path of this rotating storm, still with an active tornado warning, which means for all intents and purposes, treat it as an active tornado. Even if it is not, we are still seeing very strong winds in that area, very likely reaching the ground, which will be in excess of 60 miles per hour, potentially even higher. As far as hail goes, I'm not seeing too much evidence of that right now, but there is a history of it in the area. And if you do happen to see it popping up nearby, then just know that you are in a very strong part of that storm and seek shelter as quickly as possible. So continuing to watch this, we'll very likely lose the one in Jones County in just a moment and continue tracking the one in Wayne exclusively, and we'll go back to Patrick to do that.
There we go. Always helps to have the microphone on. So the tornado warning has just been allowed to expire for Jones County, but the storm is now moving into Wayne County, and the Weather Service in Mobile has opted to issue that tornado warning. And as Ryan was showing you, that area of rotation is out towards the Strangford community right now. Now, if you were with me earlier, basically this is the area of rotation. It's going to be right here near Strangford. Basically, green is weak rotation. We're starting to get kind of some medium rotation, a little bit stronger rotation out towards Strangford. So we're seeing that couplet cycle a little bit, and this is going to be continuing to move off towards the north and east. So basically, Strangford, you need to be in your safe spot right now. This is going to be heading towards areas between Strangford, just south of Whistler, and you notice what's in the path. Waynesboro. So Waynesboro, you got to get into your safe spot right now. Clara, and the same out towards Winchester, Robinson Junction, Shakora, even out towards Buckatana. So we're going to watch this very carefully as of right now. We'll flip it back over to radar at the moment. A lot of lightning with this thunderstorm. And the reason that they issued that tornado warning, they decided to do that, well, that's because we're starting to see that area of rotation kind of tighten up once again. And that area is out here towards Strangford. So Strangford, you need to be in your safe spot right now. Let's get a little bit tighter here. Why don't you say? We'll get over here tighter out towards Clara Strangford Road. So basically where the rotation is now out here to the south, Pleasant Grove Road, Strangford Road, even out towards Betty Sanderson Road, Clara Strangford Road, and this will be moving off towards the northeast, towards John Sanderson Drive, Johnny Bowell Drive, and this is going to be heading close to the city of Waynesboro as this thing moves off towards the north and east. So you need to be in that safe spot right now with this area of rotation as it continues to move off towards the north and east. And as we look at it on radar, I mean, there's decent rotation there. But if we look at it with our debris signature, if there's anything good, I'm not seeing any signs of debris right now. If we were to see it, it would be somewhere in this area, but I'm not seeing that bright blue ball shining throughout the sea of magenta. So that's a little bit of good news. This is still just a radar indicated tornado warning that's currently in effect for Wayne County. So again, Wayne County, this is a tornado warning for you. This goes until 9 o'clock, and basically it's for this area that is shining and flashing red and black. So Whistler, Strangford, the city of Waynesboro, Robinson Junction, even out towards Buckatana, you need to be in your safe spot right now. Again, radar indicated tornado, and the possibility of maybe seeing some hail up to the size of quarter-size hail, 1-inch hail there. So we're going to be keeping a very close eye on that. But Waynesboro, you need to be in that interior most room. So what are we talking about when we say interior most room? Well, we're talking about this. being into in that room that's away from any exterior walls, being into that hallway, even if you don't have like a central bathroom or something like that, a hallway that leads off into 3 bedrooms, getting that far in, close all the doors, and put pillows and blankets on top of you. Of course, get that brain bucket in terms of something, a motorcycle helmet. You can have also a bicycle helmet, something just that simple. A kid's bicycle helmet will do a lot. It really will. And it's the option of last resort. I always say, a chicken pot, a crawfish hot, just something that way you can protect your head. But you need to be in that interior-most room away from windows. And if you do see anything suspicious, or if you have any damage, be sure to send it in to us. You can open up that WDAM 7 First Alert weather app, scroll to the bottom. You'll get greeted by this big button. It's about the size of your phone. You can't miss it, let me tell you. And click that button and you can send it right to us. Doing that gives us clearance. We can immediately show it on air and share it with the viewers. If you send it to us through Facebook or email, we have to go back to the legal stuff, and we go back and forth, and it slows down the process. But if you send it through the weather app, we can get everything done at once, and we can share it with all of our viewers. So get into that interior-most room, away from windows, and you'll be good to go. Now let's head back to that, since we're looking off towards the west from Waynesboro. So this right here is what it looks like in Waynesboro. We're just seeing some moderate rain falling at the moment. The storm is still off towards the west, but it would be in this darker gray area. Notice how it's darker over here and lighter just behind me. This is where that parent thunderstorm is, and I think it's going to go just south of our camera. Obviously, we can't see anything because trees. This is Mississippi. We got a lot of trees out there. That's, of course, why we're called the Pine Belt. But you get the idea. Things are starting to go downhill pretty quickly out into Waynesboro, and we'll flip it back over to the radar right now. But we're still seeing very strong area of storms basically now from Whistler down to Stringford, even out towards Hollis Creek. All this is moving off towards the east right now, and we're going to have to watch this threat very carefully over the next little bit. I'm looking at it in terms of rotation. The rotation with it is not really changed. It's still just kind of medium. It isn't anything that's screaming at me, hey, there's a problem, but it is something that we're going to have to keep a close eye on over the next little bit. So we'll definitely do that. But the area of rotation right now is continuing to be moving off from west to east, and it's moving now just to the east of Stringford. So it's getting close to the city of Waynesboro right now. It's almost on top of you, Waynesboro. So you need to be in that interior-most room. And I'm looking in chat. They're saying circulation beginning to organize on the line in western Wayne County. Notable wind surges can help spin up a quick tornado. The moving in the general direction of Clara and Waynesboro. This will be moving into Choctaw and Washington County soon. Also, there is also a leading circulation just ahead of the line west of Waynesboro moving north. So basically just a couple of different areas of rotation that the Weather Service is looking at. So what we'll do is we'll flip it over to analyst radar, and I'll kind of show you what they're talking about, what they're looking at here. So we'll flip over to the Mobile radar site, and this is what they're talking about. There's a few little small areas of rotation along this line. This is something kind of typical when you have a squall line moving in, especially one that's experiencing strong winds behind it. You're starting to see some things push out. But you notice our shear product here is starting to notice two areas of rotation, one towards Whistler, the other one just to the south of Whistler, kind of getting close to Waynesboro. And if we do see anything, it's going to be in one of these two areas. So we kind of have two areas that we're watching. There's nothing prominent with it, but it is something to keep an eye out on with that area of rotation. And we'll flip it back to normal velocity, and you can kind of see what I mean. So you got a little bit of rotation right here towards Whistler, and another little area of rotation out here towards Stringford. And all this is continuing to move off towards the east. So it's going to be crossing over Highway 63 pretty soon, Highway 45, and also 145 as well as it comes into Waynesboro. So Waynesboro, you need to be in your safe spot right now. This right here is nothing to mess around with. So right here, you see where the mouse cursor is, right here, just to the east of Whistler along Highway 84. I know there's not a lot out there. We're getting out towards the Beat 4 community. Beat 4 Elementary is out here in Whistler. And then just off towards the east, there's a Dollar General, and there's a gas station there. across the street from it, but that's about it. But this thing is moving off towards the east, and as you notice, Waynesboro is the next in line. So you need to be in your safe spot right now. Again, if we do see anything, it's not going to be one of those big tornadoes, but even a small tornado can do damage, and that's why we're on the air. We're wanting to keep you safe from this threat as everything moves off towards the east. But that line of storms right now knocking on Waynesboro's door. As you can see, that big sharp area of red off towards the west. That is some very strong thunderstorms with some very heavy rain associated with it as well. And as we are talking about this line of thunderstorms, let's go ahead and do this. Let me pull this up, and I actually want to go back to that camera out in Waynesboro. And in fact, I'm going to do this. We're going to double box that camera in Waynesboro. So let me make sure the camera is pointed out there correctly, and then we're going to double box this storm. It's definitely going to be pretty dark as we look off towards the west in Waynesboro right now. All right, so we got that pulled up. Now I just need to click the button, and we are going to get that double box. So here we go. All right, so the box on the right is going to be our Skycam out in Waynesboro, and the box on the left is going to be our radar. So I'm going to clean up the radar a bit, but you can see what we are looking at. So we're out here looking off towards the west from Circle C Tractor. This right here is a live look from the Alpha Insurance Camera Network, and I'm going to get really tight on Waynesboro so you can see everything that's going on here. So Waynesboro, here's the radar right now. Very heavy rain on top of you at the moment. And this is about to move into Waynesboro. So we got it double boxed. So what we're looking at, it would be off towards the west. If there is anything, this is where it's going to be. And I'm not seeing anything that looks suspicious to me on our Skycam. You can see Waynesboro, you got a big mountain of rain off towards your west. It's about to move into town here in about 3 to 5 minutes. There was also noted a little bit of rotation here and a little bit of rotation here just to the west of Clara along that line. So Clara and Waynesboro, you need to be in your safe spot right now. But as we showed you earlier, if there is anything on the ground, you're not going to see it. A, everything's most likely going to be rain wrapped. And B, look how many trees that we have out here. So you're going to have a hard time seeing it. This isn't going to be one of those beautiful, spectacular views like they see out into the plains. This is just going to be a wall of gray, and it's just going to be a wall of rain moving into the area. So we're going to keep a close eye on that. Again, this right here is a live look at that Circle C Tractor Skycam, and to the left is Waynesboro about what is going on out there at the moment. So what we'll do, we'll kind of just go back to one box. But also for those of you who are right now in the Pine Belt, you're getting a lot of heavy rain. And we just got a pretty loud thunder moving in here as well. And I wanted to give you an update. So the only thing that we have tornado warned across the area is this right here out towards Waynesboro. That's the only part of this line that has a tornado warning on it. Everything out here is below severe thunderstorm limits. But I'm going to tell you, it is raining to beat the band. It is basically water balloons falling from the sky with some of this heavy rain that's out towards Hattiesburg, out towards Columbia as well. In fact, let's go ahead and pull up all of those cameras. So all of them except Jones College in Ellisville is not working. Of course, we're keeping a close eye on Circle C Tractor because we're watching that tornadic warning storm there. But look at the heavy rain that's moving through Laurel. You got also heavy rain moving in the west side of Hattiesburg out towards Petro Nissan. Very dark clouds. That looks very menacing. In fact, they're moving pretty fast. You can see them. Look at that. You can, if I'm going to put my finger here, you can see the clouds moving from west to east. This right here is the leading edge of that squall line. And then down here, that's our camera in Columbia. And right now, Walt Massey Ford is just seeing heavy, heavy rain pound on top of them. And as I've been saying, the only part of this that's actually severe is currently the storm in Wayne County. That's where it has that tornado warning. But you notice heavy rain extending elsewhere. Out here towards southern Jones County, it's just pouring down here at the TV station. Ellisville, even out towards northern Lamar County, towards areas around Olo. Summerall, Oak Grove, Bellevue, seeing some heavy rain, some very heavy rain extending all the way towards Columbia, Improve, and out towards Foxworth as this line moves off towards the east. We'll put it into motion here for you. This is a 1 hour loop, and as you can see, everything moving west to east. Now, once this line passes you, your severe weather threat is over. You're still going to be getting rain and thunder, but once the main line passes your location, the severe weather threat will be over. The atmosphere is getting pretty worked over this morning by this squall line as it rolls through the area, so that's a little bit of good news. So once the line passes, the severe threat is over, but unfortunately, the severe threat is going on right now. And Ryan, are you still in here? Do you have any new information going on?
We got a little bit going on here as far as some new information following along with the National Weather Service. Picked up on that trend that we had mentioned earlier, that it seemed like it was slowing a bit. The push to the south and east has slowed a bit now that it has started moving in the Marion, Lamar, and Forest counties tier. Because of this slower push, that's going to up the risk of flash flooding in those locations. And if you remember, I mentioned earlier in Forest County, right there near Hattiesburg, we did already see some issues with localized flooding due to that very strong individual cell storm that popped up very early this morning before things really even got started. I'd say right around 5:45 in the morning. So already seeing areas primed for flash flooding, hence that green outline, especially in the area where it looks like this line is going to drag. That will lower your risk of seeing the potential for straight line winds or tornadoes in this area. But you can see this line and how a few of these areas have bowed out a little bit. And that's what we were talking about earlier. You can see right that one with Waynesboro, the one that's still right now being worn. You can see how that kind of bows out a bit. And then you see another little bit of a one kind of right here moving into Hattiesburg, and then another. And it's these ends where you really want to keep an eye out for the potential for those rotating segments to pop up. So we're kind of seeing one of those just north of the Waynesboro area. Kind of this would be one of those bookends before it started another bow off towards the north. So this is what we're watching for, these little areas breaking away from the line, causing these little areas of rotation and the potential for this damage. But Patrick, let's give it back to you. You got something for us?
Ryan, the Weather Service in Jackson or Mobile had noted that the rotation seemed like it was tightening a little bit on the west side of Waynesboro. So we're looking back out here again from our sky cam. This right here is Circle C Tractor. We see the ominous lowering of the clouds. So if I hope the camera's still moving. It looks like it's froze here, but is it? Let's see, it looks like it froze on me, but let's see, I'll switch to Laurel and we'll switch back to Waynesboro. Of course, the moment there's something cool to show you, or something that we need to show you, I guess, the Skycam in Waynesboro goes down. So it looks like we may have lost that Skycam in Laurel, but what it was just showing you a minute ago was that very ominous lowering there across the area. So we were seeing those very rugged looking clouds that was off towards the west. Of course, this is what it looks like at Forest General Hospital, and we'll try to reload that camera out in Waynesboro. We'll try to force it to reload, but I think we just lost power there. Unfortunately, and what we were noticing is because that's where the area of rotation is. So what we'll do is we'll flip back over to the radar site, and the area of rotation, if it's there, it's on top of Waynesboro right now. So Waynesboro, you got to be in your safe spot immediately. This is definitely not something you need to mess around with. You need to be in that interior-most room, away from windows, away from any exterior walls, because the area of rotation is sitting on top of you. And I'm looking kind of at some things behind the scenes, and I'm looking to see what the Weather Service is saying. They're saying several circulations have noted along the Boeing segment just north of Waynesboro to south of Waynesboro. A tornado could spin up at any time along that given environment. So there's several swirls that they're watching, and I'm actually seeing it with you. So you got a little swirl here, a little bitty swirl here, and a little bitty swirl here. Any of those could produce something very quickly, and that's why they're continuing that tornado warning. But the tornado warning continues on top of Waynesboro, and you need to be in that safe spot immediately. I'm looking at it behind the scenes, and I'm fixing to flip it over so you can see it as well on our analyst radar. So let me get that pulled up here for you. But you can see where the area of rotation is right now. So here's the analyst radar that I'm looking at. And one thing I wanted to keep you informed of is just what is going on, because this storm is rain wrapped, and B, it's doing the thing where it has a few little areas that we're watching. None of them are screaming that this is going to do something, but in this kind of scenario, when you get several areas of rotation along a line, you need to kind of watch them, because if they get a little wind gust, they could possibly do something. And that's why the tornado warning is still in effect for portions of Wayne County. Let's get back tighter in there. So we got one little area that's just now east of Hawani. This right here is getting into northeastern rural Wayne County. It'll be coming up towards Isney, and I think Frostproof is right here, just on the Mississippi side of the line. The second area of rotation now has just crossed into the east side of Waynesboro. That's along Highway 45. It's along 45 just south of the 84 corridor. And then there's that third area of little small rotation near Winchester. Now that'll be crossing 45 near Winchester and Robinson Junction towards Shakora. Again, none of these are imminent that they're about to produce a tornado, or I should say none of them are producing a tornado at the moment, but they are noting that this is the setup that we have. We have 3 areas of distinct rotation that we're monitoring very carefully out there, and you can kind of notice that a little bit on the radar. It's harder to see it with the velocity, which is what we normally show it to you, but as we flip it over to the shear side of it, you can kind of get a better idea of what's going on. And Ryan, I'm hearing the buzzers go off in the Weather Center. Sounds like some news coming out.
Warning over there near where you're at already, over there in Wayne. I believe it was that second area of rotation you were talking about. Yes, you can see they're piled kind of on top of each other here as we take a look. So switching over to that velocity, you can see those areas that you pointed out of rotation now. 2 potential tornadoes out there in at least the Wayne County area. You can track at least one of these very quickly here. We'll go out for about the next, let's say 20 minutes, 25 minutes, moving eastward. So for the new area, the new warning, another area of rotation associated with the same line, Emory at 8:44, so just here within the next 10 minutes, Paragon, Silas at 8:55, so these areas within the next 10 minutes going to be seeing this area approaching you. So if you are not already in your safe space with all your safety gear, everything that you've got in your severe weather kit that you brought to your area, please go ahead and get in that area. Lock it down, most interior room, lowest level of your house, because again, can't confirm that this is actually on the ground, but all signs indicate that we do have a very strong storm with either damaging straight line winds or a tornado on the ground pushing towards these areas, which will take you all the way to Toxie as we wrap up the 8 o'clock hour, moving towards the 9 as it continues to march towards the east. So that is the new area, and we're still watching this area just to the south of it. Rotation over the next 25 minutes. We're looking at Denham by 8:42, Cantwell, Mahaffey, Dunbar, and Millery. All of those areas here within at least the next 20 minutes going to be encountering this very strong line, which either has embedded tornadoes in it or strong enough winds that it does not even matter. Just go ahead and be in that safe space and be prepared. All happening here within about the next 20 minutes from Denham to Millery. Still working its way pretty much down 84. Now we have these 2 circulations. So one of those is off towards the north that you see there. Let me get these boxes out of the way here. So we have one of those just off towards the north. That one going to be on the north side of 84, and then we have the other just towards the south side of 84, just east of Waynesboro. That the one that's moving more towards the Millery area, basically right on top of Dice Bridge Road and Duradias Drive and Big Rock Road. All of those around 84. That for the lower Waynesboro circulation. As we go a little bit further north, we're looking at this area moving toward Isney Cedar Hammock Road and Coit Road and Coit Church Road. All of those in Wayne County, approaching Gilbertown from about the Waynesboro area. So you can see, just looking at the winds here, where it goes from red to green, just that line where you see that wind shift going from what is essentially going to be from the south there to west or northwest. Very strong wind shift there. The wind shear giving us those areas of rotation, hence the now second tornado warning for the area. So tracking these 2 areas of rotation as far as what we have active right now across the area. And as we take a look at the radar, you can see that that line is really just starting to move into about the Hattiesburg area. So we're starting to hear some heavy rain here. You see the station just off towards the north of the area. That line having moved through here, still some heavy rains outside. Downtown metro areas of Hattiesburg really starting to get theirs now. West Hattiesburg right there, about to move into Oak Grove here in the next few minutes. Seeing some very strong Boeing segment just north of Pine Bur on Highway 13 there, now moving through Foxworth and Columbia. So this line extending all the way down to Tylertown, all the way up to Waynesboro and Shibuda, and that where we're seeing right now those concerning areas of either rotation or at least apparent rotation embedded in this line here as they continue to make their way towards now the east, if not the east northeast. So let me check here, make sure we don't have any update. Still picking up on the slowing, the potential for flooding rising in at least those few areas that we talked about. Still the most dangerous situation right now in the area are these two tornado warnings, these areas of apparent rotation. Again, very loud here at the station in terms of the lightning and the thunder and the rainfall. So please, everybody across the Pine Belt, even though we're really focused right now on Wayne County, be safe. Unless that line has already passed you, you've already received your very strong line of thunderstorms with all the wind shift, and things have kind of quieted down. If you're not in one of those areas, which is really only about the northwestern third of the Pine Belt, and let me back up here, maybe we can get a look. Pull up the satellite and radar. So it's still even a little bit too early to tell, but basically if you're like in this area here, you're largely okay. Still going to be seeing some rain, but it's this main line right now that we're concerned with as we continue to track that pushing through the area. And it's basically on the edge. This area we're mainly concerned about with the two tornado warnings and the areas of apparent rotation, both of those moving out of the state fairly quickly here in just the next few minutes, and you can kind of count this whole thing as really one line moving more towards the east-northeast there. And if we go in the next, let's say 30 minutes, you see that this entire line, not just those two areas of rotation, because I would like to stress that while those are the most important right now with potentially active tornadoes, this entire line is dangerous with straight line winds, still the pockets of hail in there, particularly down just around and now east and south of Hollis Creek approaching state line. Very likely some hail mixed in with that line there. So just here within the next 4 minutes, Water Valley, Paragon, Robinson's Junction, Toxie there at 8:56, Silas as we start heading past 9 o'clock, and then all the way up till about 9:20 we're in Ararat there as we continue to see this strong line. So try not to focus too much on those areas with the tornado warnings, with the areas of rotation. This entire line is dangerous, so everybody along that, please be in that safe space. And we'll go back to Patrick now with an update.
Yeah, Ryan, we've been really focusing hard on that Wayne County tornado warning, and for good reason. There's been several little areas of rotation, but I wanted to give the rest of our viewers a quick update about what's going on throughout the rest of the area, because this is a very robust squall line that is moving through this morning. A lot of heavy rain, a lot of sharp cloud to ground lightning. While Ryan was talking, you heard us take a tower strike here with that loud booming thunder here, and these storms are definitely meaning business. So a quick update for everybody else who's watching, and you may be wondering what's going on in my area. Well, the reason we're not talking about your area is because none of these storms are at severe limits. It may seem like the world is coming to an end, but they don't have one of three things. They don't have winds of 60 miles an hour, they don't have quarter-size hail, and they do not have a tornado with them. And if they don't have any of those three, then they are not severe. Even with all the lightning and heavy rain, they are not severe. So heavy rain extending basically from Hattiesburg, Grove out towards Columbia, Foxworth, Pickwick, and you're seeing even some purples on the map. That is some signs of some very heavy rain. Then we got just rain coming down in buckets right now across Hattiesburg, USM, Hattiesburg, Pearl River Community College, even out towards Petal, Leeville, Macedonia, Raw Springs. Very heavy rain moving through your neck of the woods. This will be coming into Sunrise pretty soon. Dixie, it's probably pitch black as you look off towards the north as this line of storms continues to move off towards the east. And then out here towards Ovette, Johnson, Hollis Creek, you notice more heavy rain and even some purple, a little bit of possible hail mixing in with that. Yeah, there's a little bit of hail mixing in with that as well. That would be in the southern portions of Wayne County. So it seems like the world's coming to an end, but like I've said, the only thing that we actually have warnings on that are severe is these storms out onto the Wayne County side. And rainfall rates with these storms all across the viewing area have been pretty big. We've been seeing some very heavy rain. At times we're seeing rainfall rates up to 4 to 5 inches an hour with these thunderstorms. Everywhere you see into the pink, that's basically rainfall rates 3 inches, the dark purple 4 inches, and once it turns white, that's 5 inch an hour rainfall rate. So these storms are making very good use of all the moisture in the atmosphere. They are squeezing it all out, and they're just putting down some very heavy rainfall rates, and that's why we've seen several flash flood warnings come up as well. And as you can see, over the last hour, 1 to 2 inches of rainfall has been observed in many locations. So again, the only warning that we're actually watching is the severe thunderstorm warning for all of Wayne County and the 2 tornado warnings on the now eastern side of Wayne County. And once those move out of the area, we'll be able to relax our coverage. But notice all the green. These are all flash flood warnings that go into different times throughout the rest of this morning for all the heavy rain that we're seeing with this line of thunderstorms. But again, we are still seeing stuff going down. All right, Ryan just handed me a note that says Jones College in Ellisville will be closing. What was that again?
3.
They close at 3?
Closing until 3.
Oh, they are closing until 3. So if you're a student at Jones College, you don't have to go there until 3 o'clock. We just got that in. Ryan just saw that information come into us from the newsroom, so we'll continue to keep you updated. I'm looking on Weather Service chat right now to see if there's anything new coming out. I'm not seeing anything new at this time. We'll flip it back over to the radar. Live look, Southern Pine Electric radar, what's going on across the area. And this line of storms, it still means business, but the area of rotation that we have been watching is now starting to move off towards the east. It's starting to move into Alabama. Let me pull that back up so you can kind of see what's going on with it. So let me pull it up here, and then I'll flip it over to the other side. A little bit of good news with this for our Mississippi viewers anyway is that the area of rotation that we've been watching basically all morning long with that line of storms, it started out towards Jeff Davis County and has continued along that 84 corridor. It's now starting to move into Wayne County. Let me remove my buttons here, and then you can see that. So that line of rotation, all the green and even the reds, that's now moving into the Alabama state line. So we're going to stay with this for a few more minutes, but the good news is the rotation is moving out of Waynesboro. This is now moving into Choctaw County, Alabama, and Washington County, Alabama, which are controlled by our sister stations, WTOK in Meridian and WALA in Mobile, Fox 10. So we will be passing the baton on to them once this wholly makes it out of Wayne County. Wayne County is one of ours, but once this moves out of Wayne County and into the state of Alabama, we'll be backing up some of the coverage as the tornadic part of the storm at least starts to move into Waynesboro. But you're still seeing a lot of heavy rain with this line of storms as it moves through. And look at this, over the last hour or so, you've been seeing that heavy rain move all across the viewing area. It started off quiet this morning. Now that line of storms is rolling through, and the heaviest now is out here towards this big bend. You see that bend in the line and that final frame, basically how it's kind of doing that backwards L shape right there. That right there is the sign that you got some very strong winds on the back side of that. So let me pause that. I want to show you what we're talking about. So you got some very strong winds coming in on the back side of that. That would be a signature for a very big area of wind. And on the sides of that, you can get a little bit of rotation, which is what we've been looking at. Sometimes as that line bends, some of that wind will kind of create a little eddy, and you'll get that rotation. And that's what we've been watching it go through portions of Wayne County. Now that's moving into Alabama. But some very strong winds coming in on the back side of that storm with that jet just punching it. And that line of storms is just bowing out. It's like a ceiling tile. Everybody has seen this. You see that ceiling tile that's had water behind it? It is just sitting there bowing. It looks like it's about to pop at any minute. That's basically what that gusty winds are doing behind the storms. It is physically bowing them out, and that creates that signature. So a sign of very strong winds there. But throughout the rest of the viewing area, I'm not seeing any other things going on that's imminent that would cause concern. Ryan, are you seeing anything imminent?
There was a little issue down near Oak Grove, a broad area of rotation kind of following along with that line as it's now starting to move into the southern end of the area, kind of dragging its feet as it does so. I'd say the biggest issues with these, though, is nothing happened as far as a severe thunderstorm warning or tornado warning with that broad area of rotation. It was just picking up on the potential for seeing something going on there. We're seeing some upwards of almost 2.5 to 3 inch per hour rain rates mixed in with this line. So this is the one where we mentioned earlier we didn't expect to see over the last couple of days, flooding not going to be a major issue with this, but now that it's starting to drag and we already seen some pockets of rain with the individual storms that popped up ahead of this line, very likely going to be some flooding issues. So you see the green outline here. So I would say the biggest issue for the southern end of the area, particularly for all of these, Kokomo, Foxworth, Columbia, Aloha, Oak Grove, Hattiesburg, Royal Springs, Petal, Reynoldstown, all of those have just received and are still getting that main line and maybe seeing some significant flooding issues. So I would be extra cautious of that, especially even after things calm down and our severe risk is over. Driving around, you may still encounter these localized flooded areas, and they won't be all over. It's not going to be, the entire city of Hattiesburg underwater or anything, but localized areas, particularly if they have poor drainage, may see some issues with that. And I believe we just lost the tornado warning area.
That's some good news. And Ryan, this is really your first severe weather that you've done here at this TV station. So you get to be baptized by mispronouncing a town's name. It's Olo.
Olo. I was like, don't do it. Don't do it right now. But I have.
You're not the first. It's like the official baptized here because I mispronounced it when I first got here. And now I pass the baton on to you. It's Olo. Yeah.
Olo. I actually like that.
You've come of age. You are growing up now.
I appreciate the baptism by fire. Why can't they all be like Coffeeville? That one's easy.
Yeah.
Drinking some coffee right now. We're still watching. I mean, those areas of rotation are still there. They've just pushed into Alabama at this point. So as far as the Pine Belt goes, with active tornado warnings, none of those are currently active in the Pine Belt. But that does not mean that all the risk is gone. We're still watching this line pushing through many locations. It's just now south of Waynesboro, pushing towards state line, especially right there near 45 and Buckatuna is where we're going to be seeing the potential for hail moving in immediately, and we're still watching this line on the southern end bringing pockets of heavy rain. So let's go back to Patrick for an update.
Yeah, Ryan. So a little bit of good news now is that Wayne County has been removed from the tornado warning. What we're going to do is this. We're going to go ahead and relax our coverage on air. We'll get you to the last 10 minutes of the Today Show and the last 10 minutes of Good Morning America. So TMP, heads up. We're going to be releasing us. What's that? All right, so what we're going to do, we're just going to keep this until the top of the hour. We're going to return to regular coverage at 9 o'clock. That's just what I've been told by TMP because we have a regular scheduled cut-in that would normally air here in about 4 minutes. So it doesn't make no sense for us to go out, then come right back in for that cut-in. So we're just going to stay with you until the top of the hour, and we'll keep you updated on this line of storms. But at 9 o'clock, if there's not a tornado warning anywhere in the viewing area, we're going to toss you back to regular programming. What we're going to do at that point is we're going to take a quick break, and then we'll get back on Facebook Live, and we'll stream via our Roku apps, our Fire TV, and Amazon, and the Apple TV apps as well, just to give you a quick update. But we're going to take a quick break to let us, get something to drink before we do that. So at the top of the hour, like I said, we'll get you back to your programming, and we'll keep you updated on Facebook about 9:05 to 9:10. So just keep on the lookout for that. But Ryan, a little bit of good news, but I would say the big story now with this is the very heavy rain that's starting to fall with this, especially across Hattiesburg and through Lamar County.
Absolutely. The rain rates being what they are, upwards of 2.5 to 3 inches per hour. That coming down, to put that into perspective, some places get, a fourth of that for a year, like off on the West Coast, places near San Diego and Los Angeles, don't see a lot of rain. So we're going to get about half in some localized areas of the amount of rainfall that those places get in a year. And we can see particularly strong reflectivity values right now just east of Mulberry, southeast of Waynesboro, kind of following that line that we had been tracking with the tornado mixed in it. That one very likely with the potential for hail. Also this area behind me up on the corner where you're seeing this kind of bowed line pushing through the Hattiesburg from Runnelstown all the way over to Columbia and Foxworth, kind of a little arc there. So as this pushes through, this rain band, one of those with one of those exceptionally high rain rates. And that also happens to be, especially over here in Forest County, where we saw some heavier rain earlier on, really before the storm really even got going, before the line started to move into the northwestern edge of the Pine Belt, right around 4:45, 5 o'clock. We were starting to see already some isolated ones popping up with some particularly heavy pockets of rain. So already had some flooding on the Hardy Street area of Hattiesburg. That was hours ago. More rain has fallen since then, and even after this line, this incredibly strong area of rainfall pushes south, of course, with the heavy rains and with the wind and the wind shifts and everything mixed in there. Still going to be raining a little bit even after this passes through. So most of the day will be gray and damp, and we're very likely going to see not widespread. Obviously, we're not concerned about flooding everywhere. But if you happen to know areas nearby in your neighborhood and near where you work in your town that don't drain very well, anytime you get a little bit of rain, there's always some backup. Those places in particular are going to be are particularly inundated right now. So be cautious of those. And as always, don't try to cross flooded streets. If you can't see the roadway, just don't drive through it at all. It doesn't take much to push you off the road and really cause issues. And I know tornadoes, all that gets all the attention, the most photogenic, but it's flooding that ends up being the most deadly when it comes to weather and severe weather in particular. Statistically speaking, at least. So definitely still watching this move through. Kind of the heaviest rain now pushing into about the Oak Grove area, still pushing through Hattiesburg as well. I was checking our cameras, basically most of them. Can't see anything out of them at the moment, and I think my computer may have frozen up on me here. That's exactly what we need. Yep, definitely not responding. You'll have to go back to Patrick real quick because I got to restart, I think.
To me, because what I'm showing here is this. I wanted to show you, look at all the heavy rain that we're seeing out here across the area. So this right here on the right is our sky cam that's currently sitting out at in Midtown Hattiesburg, out at Forest General Hospital. Just blinding rain out there occurring off towards the west, or on the west. On the left side of your screen, the west side of your screen, you see a lot of heavy rain falling, and this is it is just pouring across much of Hattiesburg. Bellevue, Oak Grove, West Hattiesburg, Raw Springs, you're all just seeing a ton of heavy rain falling out there at the moment as all this kind of drifts off towards the south and towards the east slowly. But it has been coming down in sheets, to say the least, here across the area. So we're going to continue to see that continuing here across the area. One thing I do want to go ahead and pull up is this. This is going to be one of the cameras. This is going to be the MDOT camera out in Oak Grove. This is going to be Highway 98 at King Road. So what we're going to do is I'm going to click right now, and it's going to pull it up on my side. So this right here is what it looks like out in Oak Grove with our MDOT camera. Highway 98 at King Road, of course, we're looking towards the west. Old Highway 11 goes down that way towards Temple Baptist Church. On the right side, Mercury Pizza. There's that gas station right there. And then you would take the right side to go towards Anatomies. But as you can see, very heavy rain. Traffic is moving very slowly out there this morning, and with good reason. We got a lot of blinding rain. We got a lot of lightning with these thunderstorms. You can see that lightning continuing out there, and all this is just slowly sitting on top of Hattiesburg. So the heavy rain threat is going to continue for the next, I would say, next 25 to 30 minutes until these storms can slowly start to sink off towards the south. But again, a live look at Oak Grove, where heavy rain continues to fall out there across the area. So just slow down, be careful. I don't have any reports of wrecks or anything like that, but it's definitely one of those days where you just don't want it to chance it. You would just rather just go slow and then you'd be doing much better off. But as we go back to the live look at the radar across the area, Southern Pine Electric radar right now still lit up like a Christmas tree. The tornado warnings have now moved off towards the east into Waynesboro, but we're going to stay with you until the top of the hour. So we're going to stay with you until 9 a.m. At 9 a.m., we're going to return you back to regular programming on NBC and ABC right here on WDAM 7 News Laurel Hattiesburg. But we're just going to stay with you for 3 more minutes as it continues off towards the east. So the worst of the storms is now off towards the east. You still see that severe thunderstorm warning for southern portions of Wayne County. That would include areas around Buckatana and out towards state line. Then off towards the west, heavy rain continuing to fall. Columbia, Purvis, out towards Hattiesburg, Oak Grove, even New Augusta, seeing that heavy rain falling out there. And as we've been talking about, the heavy rain is now becoming a big problem because as we look at it here with rainfall rate, this is the storm is just basically producing rainfall rates anywhere in these dark purple or kind of bluish areas, the darker blue here, 3 to 4. That's rainfall rates between 3 to 4 inches, even up to 5 inches in some of those wide areas. So we're getting a lot of heavy rain falling out there at the moment. So we're definitely going to keep a close eye on that. So we're getting close to the top of the hour. I want to thank you so much for staying with us here across the area. For meteorologist Ryan Mahan, I'm Chief Meteorologist Patrick Bigby. We're going to go ahead and toss you back over to regular programming on NBC and ABC, but be sure to tune in about 5 to 10 minutes from now. We're going to restart a Facebook Live, and you can watch us through our Roku app as well. We're going to keep you updated with everything going on across the area.